It's been a highly requested spiritual conversation.
Right. Okay.
A couple of students have mentioned from time to time, or people on comments on YouTube videos, I'd love for you to have another chat with your dad about something profound and spiritual. So I hope you're up to the game. But we were talking last night quite a bit about simplicity, weren't we?
We were, yeah. It works for us, doesn't it? We're simple.
Yeah, simple-minded. So I think it just fits into our practice. But to caveat it, if anyone's wondering why we're looking like this, we're just in Wales. We came for a bit of a hiking weekend away in the
Hottest
vans.
day of the year, yes.
So we all both had to put our caps on because the hair's not looking video worthy, if you were wondering. But simplicity. How's that?
Go on.
How's that been for you? How's that been something that you've had to navigate? Have you found yourself over the years drifting off, or has it been something that's come naturally? Or?
I think over the years it's got simpler. I think when it first starts, especially when it's new, you're jumping around and you're quite excited about it, and you want to investigate every aspect of it. So you'll do a meditation, and you want to do a different kind, and you'll read a lot of stuff, and there'll be lots of other ideas pumped forward in that. And you're finding your way, and I think as you create your own path more and more, you let go a lot of things as you go there, because you don't really need them. I suppose it's like when you see people who are very good at things, they do the basics really, really well.
That's very true, yeah.
And they don't need to, they can pull out the fluff, but you watch somebody like Messi, every pass is inch perfect, we've just been not part of the reason we're here, but there's a big event this weekend up in Wales where a load of guys are doing a part of the SAS selection course called the Fan Dance. And when you talk to the SAS guys, they always say that what they do is they just do the basics brilliantly. And I think that's the same with anything. And meditation, of course, is similar. Do you find it that way?
Definitely. Yeah, I speak to my students a lot about not digging lots of wells, but digging a deep well.
Yeah.
Digging one deep well. And it's something that our teacher used to sort of instigate in us without formalizing it and saying it in that way. He would just give us a technique, and a year later he'd be saying, is there anything else I can do? No, I just want you to do this one thing. But the beautiful thing with it is it's like, I like to think of it like it's like the bowling alley. Those guardrails come up for kids to stop the ball just pinging straight off down into the gutter. And in some ways, just that simple, just do this one thing, it gives your mind nothing else to grasp. The mind will try and look for other things, but if you've got someone there saying, no, just this one thing, just get really good at that one thing. And it's not just some kind of discipline that's there to be difficult on purpose. It's there because you get more out of it when you deepen into that one thing.
There's an element of surrender when you just focus on the one thing, because you're letting go of everything else.
Yeah.
And obviously this is what's happening when you're doing your meditation anyway, but also when you're refining your practice. And we were talking about the Long Pilgrimage book last night as well, which is a book written by John G. Bennett about Shiva Puri Baba. And he is one of the few people who got totally God realized and did it all himself. And he talks about refining down things so that, he talks about one of his students went to get him some flowers, and he kind of picked two flowers up and rode back and bashed them all on his bike and came in. And he said, right, so when you go tomorrow, get more flowers and don't bash them on the bike. And then the next time, tie them up so that they're nicer. And he's slowly refining that act so that it becomes perfect. And or as correct as it can be. And that's what he's saying. He's saying, we need to do that. We need to refine ourselves down to simplicity, really, to an easier way.
Yeah. It's almost a bit like if you've got like a triangle, in the beginning you've got lots of things in that section, but they slim down and slim down and slim down until you get to the point which is just that oneness. And I thought about it a few weeks ago, the power of one-pointed meditation, which is primarily what I tend to teach and what was taught to us. And I was thinking, why is it so powerful? And there's lots of different reasons. Obviously, naturally, it brings stops the mind running around and deviating, and that's probably one of the main reason for it. But then if you look at what it's actually doing, it's teaching the mind that there is only one.
Yeah.
That everything is one.
Yeah.
So the making the mind one-pointed is almost teaching the mind that everything is just one.
It is.
In the same way as, in as much as it's doing all those other things as well.
Yeah.
It's
and
quite
to
profound.
use your triangle analogy, as you're letting everything else go away as you go up to this single point, that one point is God.
Yeah.
That single point is God. And of course, our great friend Jim Stradling, he writes a lot about this, about the Great Pyramid, about what it really means, and that's a big part of what he talks about in that.
Yeah.
So, but the refinement of ourselves. I think the other thing about that refinement is it doesn't want to be an arduous thing in terms of grinding yourself down. I think you've got to just gently approach it. Some people have got the mentality where they can throw themselves into something and they'll just grind their way through it, and that's the way they are. But most people, that's the death of it if they do it that way.
Yeah.
They're gonna not enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be a happy thing, and all you're doing is gently refining your life, things in your life. But I was talking to somebody about, they're asking me about drugs and smoking and drinking with spirituality, and the ideal is no. The ideal is no. But if you try and take all of those crutches away overnight, you're just it's just gonna fall apart. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
So you have to be realistic and let those bits fall away when they're ready to. And that's what happens, isn't it? As you become more immersed in the meditation and this life that you're building for yourself, this spiritual life, when things are ready, they'll drop away.
Yeah.
Try and do it too early.
Yeah.
And it will go wrong.
And it is funny how they drop away as well.
Yeah.
Your interest for them you just think one day, no, that's it, that's gone now.
Absolutely.
And you hear it a lot with people trying to give up smoking, don't you? They try and try and try over years and years, and then one day they just say that's it, and it's like done.
Yeah, I was like that. My wife would have killed me if I carried on.
Threatened into it.
Yeah, I would have been murdered.
The fear that led you to
it. Total fear that made me give up smoking. Yeah. But I like the thing I like about normal people who have gone through this process of refining their life, or partly refining it, is that they understand everybody else then. If somebody's come in pure and just gone straight through without anything to get rid of, without any hang-ups or things, I don't think you can relate to people who are going through that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and we've all got things that come up, and a lot of what I've been noticing I've noticed in myself and I've noticed in a lot of students is that the biggest changes that a lot of people notice is that, you'll get the small section of people that have all these profound things happen, but for most of the people, the changes that go on are like tectonic plates moving. They're not perceiving them under the surface, but the changes that come about are noticeable over time in that they don't feel as angry as they did. They're not as reactive, or they're quicker to catch themselves when they fall into habits that they normally would have just been swept away by for the whole day. They're all of these inner traits that would have at one point in time dominated them are now being unshackled a bit, and the strength of them is not there so much. They might still be there. They might still have those things that they're working on. They might not. They might have totally overcome a lot of the things, but they're the changes that I notice a lot of people start to pick up on.
Yeah.
And they're amazing because if you think about that, if you think that you're now going about your day, let's say for argument's sake, 50% less angry, 50% less jealous, you know, you're catching yourself when normally you'd fall into a habit, and it would keep you occupied and in that mindset for the whole day. Now you're half in that.
Yeah.
That's a massive change in your
Huge,
lifestyle, isn't it?
huge.
And how you feel
And the
day to
reason
day.
you can do it is because by practicing meditation, or you know, whatever discipline, even mantra, prayer, whatever discipline you're doing, you are strengthening your mind through the discipline of doing it. And that strengthening of the mind allows the mind to be more discerning when it needs to be, you know, or start the process. But you know, it's not something that happens overnight, and it you know, and we talk about the center a lot, and you get drawn out of the center and you have to find your way back to it again. But if you're used to that process, you know, you're driving down the road and somebody pops or on at you, you get road rage for a second. If you're used to the process of going, yeah, I've come out my center there, you can bring yourself back in a lot quicker with a lot of things. But if you're not used to that process, that might ruin your whole morning or your day. You know, and you're out of peace for that whole day. You're kind of in turmoil.
Might have to call it quits if
it looks like it's going to rain.
It's about to rain, so I think we're going to have to check out the cameras.
It's a quick one today.
Yeah, it's a quick one. Enjoy it.